Hello, everyone. So let's see what we got over here. It says here, Guy explains how your brain is quicker to judge than your eyes. Obviously. Is your toes quicker to kick than your shins? Like what kind of dumbass? All right, let's see. Let's see. Guy explains blah, blah, blah. William Haynes is quick with his words and has dark sense of humor. Good to know. The comedian was invited to host an episode on Discovery's whatever, These Nuts, about the science of first impressions, and he revealed the science of making judgments. I don't care what he cited. Haynes revealed that our brain makes decisions on a person's trustworthiness after just a split second at looking at their faces. At their face, okay. Our findings suggest that the brain automatically responds to a face's trustworthiness before it even consciously perceived. Before it is even consciously perceived. Okay, said Jonathan Freeman, an assistant professor in all right, so you make snap judgments is what you're saying before you even take the time to actually compute the information that you're perceiving, which is common sense, and I'm not sure why they needed a study to prove this. Okay, blah, blah, blah. The results are consistent with an intensive body of research suggesting that we form spontaneous judgments of other people that we can barely, that can be largely outside awareness. That just sounds like a survival thing. Like you have to determine whether or not the person is a threat. And guess what? Most people aren't going to be a threat. So to some degree, most people you're going to kind of trust them, unless they're dressed weird and they look like they're down on their luck, they look poor or whatever the hell. You might be less likely to trust them because they might be looking for an opportunity, and that opportunity might be at your expense. So you're less likely to trust somebody that looks unfortunate. You're less likely to trust somebody that looks aggressive. It's just, snap decisions. And it's just an emotional thing. I get it. I don't understand why they needed a study to prove this. The study was published in my I Don't Care. Even before their eyes are the study found that amygdala, a walnut-sized area of the brain, helps us make these quick judgments. Yes, but they aren't permanent judgments. They're quick judgments. If you're just meeting that person, you got to determine whether or not you're going to be friendly to them or you're going to run away or whatever. And in most cases, you're going to be like, okay, that person is not a threat. And you're going to be like, I guess you trust them. But if they're going to ask you to invest with them, then you're going to have to do a completely different assessment. So it's not going to be like a quick judgment. This person is trustworthy. And they're like, give me all your money. And you're like, oh, yeah, absolutely. I trust you, buddy. It's like, it doesn't work like that. This is a pointless study. It doesn't prove anything. It's like you make a quick snap judgment, but even if that's the case, you didn't determine whether or not you trust that person. You just determined that they're not a threat in that moment. All right. To put the theory to test, two groups of participants were analyzed. The first group was asked to rate how much they trusted certain people by looking at their faces, while the researchers measured activity in the amygdala. Okay. I guess. How do you know you're not measuring how they react to the test? They're like, oh, you got to choose someone that you trust based on looking at their faces. And you're like, oh shit, what am I supposed to even be looking for? And they're going through all this mental math and you're measuring that. How do you all right. However, the second group was asked to lie inside an MRI machine. Okay. While faces briefly flashed on the screen in front of them. The faces flashed so fast that the people in the group didn't actually see them. In both cases, the amygdala lit up. Yes, they've been stimulated. clearly indicating that the brain processed the information. How does that indicate that it processed the information? They could have just processed that they're laying in a goddamn machine and images are quickly flashing between their eyes. Like, this is a terrible, terrible goddamn test. Because you have no idea what you're measuring. You're just measuring brain activity. Like, you don't know what that brain activity is indicating at all. This is dumb. The study showed that certain types of traits were found to be trustworthy. How did you determine this? How did you get to that? It was found that participants mostly agreed on which faces were trustworthy and which ones weren't. Some of the traits that were considered shady included furrowed brows. No motherfucker, no goddamn shit. If someone looks aggressive or angry, you're less likely to trust them. What is your actual malfunction? How are you this dumb and still a researcher? I hope no one funded this. Shallow cheekbones. So you look like you're starving. These findings provide evidence that the amygdala's processing of social cues in the absence of awareness may be more extensive than previously understood. Someone has furrowed brows and sunken cheeks, and what do you think that uses all processing power? What the? That's not intensive at all. It's literally surface level. If the amygdala was determining whether or not that person has committed insurance fraud, then maybe you might have a point. Maybe it's a little bit more intensive than you thought. But if it's just determining that they look angry, it's not really. It is exactly what you would expect it to do. The amygdala is able to access how... No, it's not. I'm so done with this. Anyways, until next time.